This is Eric Muathe with Muathe.com. All is well. Let's take a look here for July 23rd, and this is going to be somewhat of a follow-up to a video I did yesterday. So July 23rd, markets are slightly down, not too much, but slightly down. And watching this would make sense where I was talking about this transition on a month-to-month basis. So if we take a look at Amazon right now, we can see over the last couple of days, there was a breakout attempt above 3200 of the RSI. So we can also say that that is and feels like and smells like negative divergence on a small time frame. So it's something to keep in mind. Now, as I've been saying with other markets, it's not until we break below RSI lows that we can expect a big plunge in the stock. For example, Amazon in this example, it would need a break of this trend line to really get things going to the downside. So that is a minimum requirement before we get a move lower. And that is not necessarily all it takes. Remember, for an instrument to stay down and have momentum net to the downside, the RSI needs to stay below 50. So which also means that let's say we get a break below the trend line, but we end up bouncing back above RSI 50 in that range, then the uptrend will continue. So, and that's why what I'm saying here is even a break of this trend line is not really a big deal. It's what happens afterwards. But before we can go lower, we still have to break this. That's the initial sign of a potential move lower. But it's only down the road when we see whether or not it can hold above or below RSI 50 that will determine how big of a pullback we can get. Now we can also see this on the 4-hourly, where we see that this trend line here would need to be broken on the 4-hourly before we can see a major drop. Expect a big down day, big down hour should we drop below 50 on the 4-hourly time frame. And again, here we can see good evidence that when a market is moving higher, when the trend is good, the RSI net is always going to hold above 50. So that is just how it plays out. We can see we moved above 50 here, which is this range. We've held above 50 since then, and net, the market has been, let's say, good and stable, if not outright bullish. If we take now a look at the semiconductor index, and let me update this so we can have today's current, that was yesterday's price quote, and we can see that depending on how things go, this might be a line to watch, either to ignite a sharp move higher by clearing that line, or this line conveniently just becomes where the semiconductor index stalls and starts to move higher. Now remember, this is a follow-up from yesterday's video, so we are looking for signs that the market is going to confirm a potential switch in the direction. If we take a look at the 4-hourly, again we can see as prices have been moving higher, the RSI has actually been offering some type of topside resistance. Keep in mind, right now we are seeing the RSI struggle to hold above 61.8, which means that if we start seeing a reversal in price and RSI 61.8 was resistance, this becomes the strongest type of negative divergence, which would also indicate high probability that the next meaningful direction actually is going to be to the downside, which would coincide with some of the things I was talking about in yesterday's video. And again, even here, this trend line would have to break. RSI lows trend line would have to break to the downside before we can see a massive plunge. And that is going to be the beginning. If we break, actually, a true move lower has to coincide with the market holding below RSI 50 for an extended period. in a sense, what I'm saying here is that even a break of a trend line on the RSI lows is not what the market would need for a break lower. It's going to take further evidence down the road to see how much of a move lower we can get. And that's why I'm saying, really, the big takeaway here is we need not to start assuming that the market has a one-way ticket down, because it's gonna take a lot of energy and work to keep the markets lower. Right now, because the markets are holding above RSI 50, net, you can conclude that things are still stable until proven otherwise. But yes, there are some emerging signs of this is where we start seeing some type of a pullback in the general market. Eric Muathe with Muathe.com. Love and light, light and love. Namaste.